chain.
Okay. Good.
Woo!
So here we are, gardens.onehive.org, creating a garden. There's two choices. So I guess we don't have an existing ERC20, right? So I'll be doing this one. Benito Garden. Create a new token. Okay. We decided on a name.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the covenant in the canvas, I mean, you don't just have it handy because we can just
Sure.
use that information.
Yeah. Could you send a link in the Google?
I can see the link now.
Okay.
I'm on it. There's one, there's covenant, and the canvas.
Okay. So I guess the canvas is more going to line up.
The covenant is, you know, it's well written.
Yeah.
And we can, I think Antonio based it off Giveth. So they have some cool dispute resolution things going on there. I don't think we went over, but definitely is worth experimenting with.
Okay. Is this the right name?
Now here.
In some instances in the doc, it was ETH PR all together. In other places, it was with a space in it. So I'm not sure what we want to go with, but we should be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Do we have space or no space?
I'm indifferent. Does anyone have a preference?
Space.
Okay.
Okay. I like the space too. Okay, what's the description? Is it right here? I think that looks good. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, what? Is it too long? Okay, there's a limit. I can't go past a certain number of characters.
We need to one sentence that purpose.
Do we have a more concise? Is it this one?
Yeah, that one looks pretty good.
Let's try.
Got to fit in one tweet.
Okay. Still cuts off at coordinate events.
I think the second half might be sufficient.
Yeah, maybe we can leave the name out of the sentence.
Yeah, maybe start with coordinate events.
Yep. Collectively, maybe.
Okay, let's try that. Collectively coordinate events, education, and resources to promote blockchain adoption and development in Puerto Rico. I think that sounds good.
Looks good.
I like that.
Okay. Okay, we'll use the default forum for now, it sounds like. Okay, assets. We have some JPEGs, right? We can use header, garden logo, token icon.
Yeah, I think, Antonio, do you have access to that ETH PR logo they made for you?
Yeah, I can share that.
Awesome.
Can we update these also? So, I mean, if we don't add them now, can we update them in the future?
It says they're optional. I imagine so. I'll Google.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it sounds like we'll be able to update them. Okay, so maybe I won't worry about that right now. Community links. Okay, so like Discord, GitHub. Okay.
Oh, we have the documentation links right there, right? So we can put the covenant and the link to the covenant and a link to the canvas.
Is this link, can anybody edit this? Is it like publicly
Yeah, that should be anybody with a link can view.
can view? Okay, but not necessarily.
Yeah, but we may have to, I'm not quite clear on how we upload to IPFS. If it's, we have to like upload a PDF or a Word doc.
Okay.
We can do fpr.org website.
Is this correct?
No, that is, I think I was, what was I doing with that? That is correct, but I can't remember what I was trying to do with that little experiment.
It's okay. You can always update it, right?
Looks like Antonio's trying to get his real estate license.
So this is like our homepage. I'm assuming this can all be updated. Is that a fair assumption?
You know what? If it can't, then we'll just make a new one.
Right. So documentation links. Okay. Again, assuming we can update, because we're gonna have more documentation. I would assume like over time. So perhaps this is good to get started.
We definitely need to add the covenant in Spanish. So, we're gonna have to add new documents in the future.
Okay. So for now, let me just add this one. Covenant. Is that a good label? Okay, looks like Antonio dropped off again. Let's move on to the tokens. Definitely want Antonio to be here before moving forward on this, but let's see. This is going to be called Rico. Token name is a name you can assign to the token that will be minted. Oh, okay. My community token. What do we want to call it?
Rico.
So that's the symbol, right? So just like Rico governance token, or it's pretty generic. I don't know. Where is this going to show up? Antonio, are you back?
Yeah, I never
Okay.
left.
So we have the Rico symbol, and we need to give it a token name.
I can't believe we didn't think this far along with the token name.
Well, Jose, do you know what they're calling the other DAO? What they're calling the token?
I proposed having a stablecoin called Toki Cash, Mori Cash, and the governance token. I'm not sure what I proposed. I don't think it was Rico. But something analogous, not that creative.
Okay. While we're thinking about that, Jonathan, can you add to this list? I need your wallet address so we can So we can add it to this list.
Ethereum network.
I'm sorry.
Ethereum network, right?
Yeah, it'll be the same. It'll be the same address as Ethereum, but it'll be on XDAI.
All right, 1 second.
We'll get you set up with everything. So
I'll send it to you right away.
Reuven says he's trying to join.
Yeah, he should. Is he in? No.
He needs to be let in.
I'm in an Airbnb. I'm in an Airbnb, and I can't find where the the Wi-Fi router is. Gotta be here somewhere.
Jonathan, could you add to the document the Google Doc I sent in the chat?
All right, 1 second.
Okay, and then I'm gonna need Reuven as well. So that gives us some time to think about what do we put here for the token name? I guess something just like I don't know if anyone's ever gonna see this. Really, they're just gonna see the symbol.
They're probably gonna see it, especially if we get listed. Not saying we will.
Token name is the name you can assign to the token that will be minted. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Is a utility token? Would that be like more appropriate?
You mean say this?
Can we straight up call it?
We should definitely not a security token.
I get you, Antonio. Can we just call it like the ETH PR like governance token, and then the symbol is Rico?
There you go.
Like that. Hello, Reuven.
Hey guys, so for me, I had some other calls in parallel.
No worries. So we're setting up the DAO right now. Could you add your address to this document? I also need.
That's the XDAI
Oh yeah,
address, right?
it should be the same as the Ethereum address.
Okay. I'm still not at my desk. I need a few
Okay.
more minutes. But I could also be the guinea pig to join later. So if
Okay.
you start instantiating it, and then I can add myself later.
Sure.
So with the starting balances, I think we have to figure out how much it is to submit a proposal, and how much it is to like, I guess there's a threshold for, you have to have enough tokens to vote. So we have to like set that parameter. So I think maybe in configure governance, we'll have to, whatever balance we get, we have to configure the governance below whatever the starting balance is.
Okay. What should we?
That makes sense.
What should we start at for everybody?
One governance token per proposal.
I'd say let's start at 100 per person.
Okay. Good number.
Good number. Get out of here.
Do you want 1,000?
Everybody gets 42069 tokens to start off with.
1 million. 1 million.
1 million tokens. All right.
69 trillion. The usual thing.
All right. So just
So I guess we can't use. I'm kind of curious what the common pool means, because that's where the funds come from to those. Like that's where the funds come from for people that get like bounties.
Isn't that from the Genesis safe?
I think that'll be held by the DAO until it's distributed.
Yeah,
And we
or
can
the
always do
multi-sig.
that later. Framework is it uses agents. So the Gnosis safe is an agent Smith.
We do eventually want to use this, but we don't have
Well,
one set up.
there's a lot of going around, like if it's multi-sig? Is it really a DAO? So if we don't need to do it now, I think we're okay.
Okay.
Would it cost more? Probably.
It would
We have
cost
to-
to set up the safe. It would cost some gas on mainnet to set up the safe.
Oh boy. All right.
Oh, so that would exist on mainnet.
Yeah, but I think we're okay. We can go. I think we can go forward.
Okay.
So to be clear, the Genosis safe would not be the DAO treasury.
I think it would be an added. There would be if we do governance proposals here in the garden, it would trigger an execution to release funds from the Gnosis safe. But the Gnosis safe exists on mainnet, I believe.
But that's still a soft, like, so we basically, there are some people who are managing the Gnosis safe, and whatever happens on XDAI is just like, we honor the decision of the community and then execute on mainnet? Or is it already like hard-codedly integrated? I assume it's not yet fully integrated. I think it's a hard problem.
I opened one on Rinkeby, and it wasn't too much of a hassle. But yeah, I paid an ETH, and it was the Rinkeby testnet, not the XDAI network.
Okay. Sounds like we can do some more research into that, but I think eventually it'd be nice to use Gnosis safe. But does this look good to everybody as is? Reuven, I don't have your address just yet.
Yeah, start
Okay.
without me. I'm still catching up.
Okay, we'll figure out. We'll send you some tokens, or we'll make a proposal to send you some tokens or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good exercise. Yes.
So everyone else, this looks good. All right. Guess I'll go next. All right. So I have my honey, and I need 100 USD. Okay. Must be worth at least 100 USD. So let's do that. Okay, Rico. So this is the supply, or this is like, what do we?
Yeah, so this is the initial. We're setting price. We're making the market right now.
Okay.
So let's say we have like we have 6,000 tokens in circulation. I mean, do we want to like set a high number? Like I know you originally in the original. Do we want to start a little bit smaller? Say maybe like 200,000.
Yeah.
Or is this where we go for the 420.69 just to?
Let's see, 200,000.
So if we have let's say we have 100 members, and they each have 10,000 tokens. That's $1 million. Is that unreasonable?
Can I just ask, is this for us an exercise to experiment, or is it that's now it?
It's very much a now exercise, like a real life.
Okay.
We're gonna try it, and if we fucked up, we fucked up.
We could start with 888,888.
Okay.
That's as lucky as you can get.
The reason why I'm asking is like this feels all pretty randomly. It could be like $1 million, could be 1,000, or it could be 1 trillion. So we haven't really thought about like what does it mean if we are like doing one or the other.
I've done,
and if we just do this,
I'll share this in the chat group.
So I'm just saying, like, if we do this just for us to have an experience to go through these questions once together, and we see kind of what kind of questions are coming up, and then we play around, and then we say, oh, whatever, we messed it up because we did X or Y, and next time we know why we should do it differently. And so if it's just a trial run for us, then whatever, let's just pick a random number. if this is like the series one, then I think we should think about this way more than like a random guessing now.
Yeah, because
Here,
just a
here,
second.
here. Let's just do this together. Let's do this. There's a Alex. If you want to click on the comment stack link I just sent. So we'll give a little bit of love to the Common Stack team. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Right on time. We have another individual. Welcome.
Hey, Jam, everybody. Apologize for being late here. Hope everybody's well.
Yeah, this is actually perfect timing because we're just trying to figure out what the initial token supply should be. So maybe you have some pointers.
I see y'all are using the CS tool here. Very cool. Yeah, I think I need to get a little more context, but it's awesome. I just love seeing it being used. It's really neat.
So we have 6 wallet addresses as the first initial kind of like founders. We have a bigger community of about 100 people inside of like the Ethereum Puerto Rico group. I could see this growing up to maybe 1,000 over the next year, but this is mostly for basically membership, as well as donations to get funding to do events, as well as education, as well as donating to like different like social justice, environmental justice initiatives around Puerto Rico. So that's for this DAO. And we basically have the bare minimum honey to set the liquidity pool. And we haven't gotten yet to the governance in terms of like how, like what thresholds do we put for proposals and voting. So I think you have a lot more experience with that, which we could help, which we could use right now. That makes sense.
Sure, yeah. And I have the Google Doc open here, so I had a chance to read through it recently here, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So I guess I would ask, quite like, what are the you said the question specifically was token issuance. If you could show that tab again. I'm sorry, I was okay.
I think we're worried about the liquidity pool, and we haven't really given much thought to how much we want the token to initially be priced at in terms of honey.
Mm-hmm.
And do we want it to be very economic? Is it something expensive? Etc. Right? Those are good questions.
Yeah, so I would just say, I need to to give specific advice. I think I would need to know a little bit more about, and so I don't want to like sideline this meeting. I've just literally joined, and if you guys are, so tell me, right, how you want to spend your time. But for me, I'm curious to know more about like the size of the existing community in terms at launch. Like, what can you realistically anticipate in terms of dollar value invested into the bonding curve? Like, what are some of the assumptions that you're making when you're approaching the hatch here?
I think we're actually starting out with the assumption that the token is worthless, so we don't want to necessarily assign like a significant value to the token. At this stage, I think we're kind of just trying to figure out, trying to understand the technology and interacting with the contracts and such, and then eventually moving towards that. But I think we're kind of at the stage now where we don't necessarily want it to be significantly valued. Does that
Yep.
kind of make sense?
Yep, totally. Like, so I guess let me ask specifically, have you sort of considered or had a debate around using OneHive's like default garden settings for dynamic issuance? This is just one option, right? I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are about that.
don't know
We
too much
definitely want to
about.
do the dynamic issuance. So even if we were to like say we're only going to do 10,000 RICO tokens right now, and then we would go to a vote to issue more tokens.
Yeah, so the way dynamic issuance work is you wouldn't have the traditional total supply cap. So that's an important starting differentiator, like between and that's a question I guess that can have its own hour-long conversation. Like there's pros and cons around that. In terms of how you want the project or the currency to be perceived. Is it inherently inflationary? Are you trying to achieve some type of long-term deflationary goals for? I know this sounds. I'm not trying to be totally price-driven here, but price performance does reflect on the quality of the activity in the DAO and the holders and all of this. So like, it's non-trivial, even if it's like cultural build matters more, but you want to have these. Common understandings, I guess, in terms of how the monetary component of the economy you're creating will function, right? So in the case of One Hive, there is I think like a minimum threshold for the common pool, and if a certain amount gets if certain thresholds are passed in terms of issuance, okay, so like the common pool gets progressively lower. If it gets too low, right, then you will essentially mint more honey to like top up the common pool. So this, again, it's inherently inflationary. Whereas if you have a fixed token supply and it exists in a multi-sig, that's a different scenario in terms of how you're going to set up like issuance and how it would work with the garden. Because if you were to do it the other way, you have like a fixed market cap, you could mint it and run it through the Gnosis safe that then we have a plug in directly with Gardens, and the Gardens can just execute funding proposals directly from the safe. And if you were to decide at one point that you, for example, wanted portability and you wanted to check out another governance stack, right? Like I'm obviously super biased and bullish on Gardens, but if there is that option, you could sort of take the safe and then plug it into another stack. Okay. With dynamic issuance, it might be a little bit different. And this is a question that I'd have to like defer to probably Will Griff or somebody to speak more to in terms of the comparative like portability of the treasury. So I'm going to stop there. Does what I'm saying make sense in terms of this first decision, in terms of dynamic issuance, meaning inherently inflationary, or are you looking for more of a fixed cap in terms of token supply?
One question: if we have dynamic issuance, we could also burn tokens. Is that true?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can have any mechanisms that are then like built into that dynamic system.
Okay. So theoretically, we could have a deflation, like if we burn more tokens than we issue.
Yeah. And I mean, you can always modify the parameters of the dynamic system. So those thresholds I was referring to, like you can change that. It would require different. Okay. So the parameters we're referring to, like all of them can be changed, and there's no straitjackets here, right? Well, yeah, like if you go with a fixed market cap, it would be kind of hard to switch over to dynamic issuance and vice versa. So there's this kind of fork, right, where you could but within each of those worlds, where you have dynamic or if you have a fixed market supply, there's a lot of flexibility within either of those options to create supply and specifically supply side interventions, right? Like if you imagine yourself being the Fed. So you could burn, you can, in the case of One Hive, I'll give an example, right? Like the case of One Hive, you have honey swap that in a very modest way, but it inherently provides a revenue stream for One Hive because a portion of the fees, the transaction fees on that exchange, are used to buy honey and then feed the common pool. So you can also integrate revenue use cases if you have those in mind for something that your DAO might create, right? You can use revenues, a portion of revenue, to, even as a nonprofit type way of thinking. You have certain things that form a revenue stream. You can use that to manage token supply side economics as well.
Cool. So it sounds like we can change things as we go. So perhaps the initial pool number doesn't necessarily matter too much. I don't know if people disagree.
Yeah, no, I mean, Celeste is the backstop. I mean, to sort of think about it that way. Like if you are, and everybody does this a little bit differently. If you want to launch sooner rather than later, Celeste basically ensures that if it hits the fan, like it really is, it's not going to hit the fan. Let's put it that way. Like the malicious intent, any type of like existing attack vectors are mitigated by the presence of Celeste. Okay, you can basically block anything that attempts to exploit something unexpected in the parameters that you've launched with, right? Now, changes though to these type of tokenomics things require what are called a decision vote, which is a little bit different than a standard funding proposal vote on the garden. It does require obviously changes in the smart contract. So it's like an elevated level of decision making, but it enables you to essentially make amendments to any of these parameters that you've set on the garden.
Okay.
At a tokenomics level. Yeah.
As long as the core members agree, we can make changes as needed.
You can iterate relatively quickly. Yeah. And I say that specific process, I'm going to need to defer to one of our
just to jump in real quick.
Technicians. Yeah.
So probably one of the first proposals that we'll have is we got a Ethereum Foundation grant of $500 for basically to host.
Antonio, you're cutting off.
I would be the first one purchasing Rico tokens. Like, so we're putting $500 XDAI worth into the pool, and then we would basically vote on like whoever hosts the event then gets the money as like the service fee as the bounty. So that's kind of like our first use case, if that helps to kind of like give us some boundaries.
But would we transfer this value into Rico tokens, and the Rico token is that a thing, or would the treasury just hold whatever the DAI for decisions on that? Because once we do it, once we associate a value with this, it becomes really quite different, and then there might be an outrage like, why is this group starting with nothing, has like a market cap of whatever, $1 million, and like all of these questions I'm trying to avoid by like us first experimenting and not moving into any like financial value into the Rico token, because then otherwise, then this event now is then the first taxable event where suddenly you get an airdrop which is worth X, and like what does it mean, and so on and so on. That's kind of like more my hesitation.
So it sounds like there's going to need to be a minimal value to begin. It's like maybe a fraction of a penny per token. So we only have $123 in the pool, so should be quite limited.
But did we agree something in terms of the token supply? Or are we going to use a fixed token supply plus Genesis, or we're going with a dynamic? Dynamic seemed interesting. And the fact that we can, amend these changes or quote unquote change the tokenomics in the future isn't, that flexibility is on our side.
I mean, it is, but I mean, if you think about this a bit more long term, and you want this to be valuable, so if we want ultimately to drive the value of the Rico token go up, and we have like random massive changes from like whatever number X to one number Y 3 times in the early moments, like how much do people trust that we're not changing the token economics fundamentally like a week later? And so it's more the legitimacy of the token is a social construct rather than like a number here. It's more like what does it stand for, and are we randomly just changing it any day?
That's a good point. Not a lot of people like the Fed for that. So we should probably, look out for that. But it does come with you can play around. You can have $1 million if you really wanted to, like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, food for thought, I guess.
This one's for T Wells. Can we hold other tokens in the treasury besides Rico? So I guess what Robin was saying is, if Rico is the voting token, but we hold XDAI in the treasury, and then that's what we use to pay out the bounties.
Yes. So this is where correct. If you have a Gnosis safe setup, you can have any array of tokens hypothetically that can be allocated right through a Garden's vote execution. Now, I would say the specifics on that. Again, I know that this is possible. If it is somewhat restrained right now due to development, then that's something that, again, I would defer to like Will or maybe Sem to talk with us about. So perhaps we can schedule something to do in the cafe, next week or whatever, and they could come on and answer some of these questions at a really technical level. But it should be, right? The fact that you can plug in with Gnosis Safe and the fact that you can have different currencies in Gnosis Safe means you should just be able to call that, that token to be able to execute it, be able to be executed through the Garden. So yes. So in the case of this, do you have like the 500 in stable coins?
It was denominated in ETH, and I still have to convert it to DAI, and I still got to bridge it over.
Gotcha.
So the 500 is now like 5,000?
It's 533.
That's
diamond hands.
Hey, you know me, man. I'm just gonna be always a perma bear, so I'd be like, yeah, go sell that right now. Lock it in. I'm joking. I'm bullish ETH, but I'm also like, when it comes to compensation like this for people who want to do good work, yeah, I think having some stable coins is really valuable. That's my personal opinion now, right? But yeah, you should be able to call multiple tokens, and if not, then you can always, like, if you can't now, right, because there needs to be some dev work done, then you can still have what's called like a signal vote, or you could even have okay, so I'll give you an example. You could have a regular vote on the Garden for this conference, and it would execute in the token of your DAO. Okay, and then you just arrange an OTC. So it's like you're not going to HoneySwap. It's like, okay, if they want to hold on to the token as a form of compensation because they want the token, right? They're bullish on it long term, then maybe you just hold on to the stables. You could make that arrangement, or you just send a wallet to wallet transaction, right? And you just hand them the XDAI that way if you can't call it directly through Gardens. Does that make sense? If you'd enable the contributor to cash out without like pushing the price down on HoneySwap, right?
Yeah, because that makes price pressure. Like if we're paying people out in our token, it gives it like downwards price pressure when people are trying to cash out to pay for things.
It does, 100%, man.
Okay, so in the interest of time, let's try to keep moving. Why don't
I have one more question, and
okay, go ahead.
Just one more question. So like, let's say we have a really cheap token. So like if we do like 0.01 cent for one of these tokens, let's say like a whale comes in and just like buys out the whole supply, and then now has a kind of a monopoly on governance. Like, does that happen, or like what is the kind of the thought process around that?
Sure. I mean, I would say this. This is my, again, personal opinion is you really you either take quite a bit of time to carefully consider like tokenomics before launching, and then you're not really likely to change anything, or you're going to tweak it around the margins as little as possible, or you're jumping out of the airplane, you're going to build a parachute on the way down, and you're comfortable changing tokenomics parameters if you need to. I don't have like, I'm not telling any, my job is, I feel like, not to tell people what to do. It's like explain what potential outcomes are. And things were said earlier about being, I think Reuven, I'm sorry if I mispronounce people's names, I hope I am, but about it being this social construct is really important, right? Like for my personal opinion is you want to change it as little as possible. The ability to change it is,
and what is the HoneySwap?
You can, right? But
template.
So HoneySwap is just the AMM. So hypothetically, you could launch with, as you have like very little liquidity here, and then the question becomes, you're not, with that little liquidity, nobody's, if you have only deposited into HoneySwap 1,000 Rico, yeah, somebody could come and buy up 1,000 Rico, right? But if you don't have any other way to acquire it, then the whale attack vector like doesn't exist yet. You know, the majority of the token is either in the nose to safe or it's yet to be issued from the garden, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not
Yeah, we go.
super familiar with the honey swap aspects here, but I know like if other people just create their tokens, it's up to whoever has the token in the beginning to even provide liquidity into a sushi swap or Uniswap. So is that basically the portion we would put into the honey swap liquidity, and could we keep this empty in the beginning and just like add this later if we decide we want to create liquidity?
Yeah, essentially, yes.
Okay.
I would just say as an aside, it's really worth, I think, your time to look, you know, I can suggest some videos or articles, but understanding how an automated market maker, how the market maker works is really a good thing to know, particularly if you're on a founding team, because it helps you. Like, liquidity is, okay, so it is the market, and liquidity is what enables the market to exist. And so the mechanics of this can get kind of complex, but in principle, HoneySwap enables the buying and selling of the RICO token, which means its price there is what gives it life in terms of, you know, interoperability, exchangeability with other tokens, and ultimately a pair with a stable coin for people who want to cash out, right? And that fiat off ramp is the moment when it really exists, right? And you can't control that though, right? This permissionless aspect is important to understand. Anybody who has RICO in a wallet could go to the market and pair it with any other token that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially here, you're seeding the initial liquidity paired with the mothership token. Is it honey? Yeah. And so whatever y'all decide to deposit here is the existing market, you know, for RICO. Now, again, if access, so I'm operating under the assumption that access to issuance of the token is limited to like people on this call or like very small number of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so your risk essentially in terms of price action is probably limited to the people on the call, right? Like, and so you could get down to the business of doing proposals and all of that, which will issue RICO. And if the people who are receiving that RICO are people on the call or people who are like, you know, first order relation, you know them in person, or they're people that you trust. Essentially, you're then just going to have you're going to be distributing RICO to those early contributors, and hopefully, you will see either the DAO itself or these contributors begin to create deeper liquidity. And I'll say one last thing before I sort of shut up here, but I have a good buddy of mine from One Hive is actually working to create a DAO that will facilitate liquidity pairing for new gardens. So in other words, they're going to aggregate, they're going to have probably XDAI and honey and ether, and they're going to have a healthy amount of it. And they're going to be able to help pair gardens like y'all's, the RICO token, with these other key crypto assets. So you create the LP pair in the market, and it will enable, right, to sort of bootstrap your own liquidity. That's the idea, is that you get to the point where you could not only attract some speculative energy, because if someone wants to buy RICO because they believe in your project, they don't want to have to eat a whole lot of slippage on the honey swap. Meaning, if they want to come with $1,000 and buy your token, they don't want to get $700 worth in exchange because there's no liquidity. I'm kind of ranting here, but I'm trying to at least educate in terms of how what you're looking at here on the share screen is just the starting point for that. And yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what's your name, because I only see T Wells.
Yeah, my name is Ted. T Wells or Ted. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ted. So what I'm trying to understand, I'm familiar with DAOs, but I'm not familiar with gardens. So my question is, if we start like with 100 each, and then we put 1,000 into the liquidity pool, then someone in theory could buy potentially a significant amount to overroot every of us. If we start with all of us having 100 and we put 100 into the pool, then it's less of an issue, and we would need to make a governance decision to add more to this, or 5 of us would decide they put their 100 into liquidity because it's permissionless. I'm just wondering, could we just start by distributing the tokens to all of us individually, and don't start anything in liquidity? Because I do not see that we need anyone to buy this token or sell this token in the, let's say, near future, because we're still bootstrapping even the community. So even what does it mean in Recro to have or to own? So for now, it would be a pure governance. I think in many teams are doing it, I think intentionally, that you first create something before you price it, and then you activate. And if any of us would decide they want to create liquidity earlier, then sure, that's the nature of the thing. But at least we would not necessarily need to start with this.
Yeah, I do know that initial HoneySwap liquidity is required to like create the garden, but it can be as small as you're looking at right now. And you should just like click issuance. I wouldn't worry about that part. This is basically a step that will make the token live on HoneySwap, but I don't think it creates like an attack vector on your DAO.
And if we give each other whatever 1,000, and then we put 1,000 into liquidity, then it is only a small portion. If we put in 1,000 into liquidity and each of us have only 100, then it might be easy to have a governance attack if any of us would want to do that.
So yes, and this actually goes to what I would say is like initial distribution. So typically you have like a pie chart so let's assume that you go with a fixed token supply. Okay. Now I don't know the best number, because I don't know. I tend to like larger numbers because this is my opinion, right? Speculative energy helps to fund public goods. It just does. And if we can capture some of that energy and put it to good use, then I'm in favor of that. To that end, smaller numbers attract more speculative energy, in my opinion, in my experience. So the larger the market cap, or the larger the total supply cap. I'm not saying you do trillions, but a billion is nice, man. A billion is a nice number, in my opinion. Now, again, I'm saying, I'm not telling you what to do in this case, but if you go this route of choosing a specific supply cap, all right, then you have it you basically mint the token, and it will be in a Gnosis safe. Okay, this is the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, right? And under those circumstances, you now have are you guys? So let me ask. I'm going to pause here. Are you guys familiar with how a multi-sig works?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you have, Gnosis Safe is a multi-signature crypto wallet where you say, I see 6 people on this call. If you create like a 7-person multi-sig, you could have like a 4 of 7. You could do a 3 of 5. You could whatever. The idea is you have all these tokens there. This is the total tokens that will ever exist for your DAO. And you have it controlled by a multi-sig, which requires more than one person to sign, right, to issue or to send outgoing transactions from this wallet. Okay. And in that case, projects typically determine a distribution, and they have like a pie chart, right, where and the number depends on your preferences, but there's a certain portion of the total tokens that will ever exist that are distributed to the founding team, so that you have the ability, right, yourself to sort of exercise influence and governance early on, and provide and I'm trying to loop back, Reuven, to your question, which is, if you go the fixed token cap route or the fixed token supply route, and you have initial distribution to founders, that itself is a governance backstop, because it's much harder for somebody if you don't have much on the market, nobody's going to be able to do that. However, worst case scenario, this is where we say Celeste is this ultimate sort of backstop. Okay, that even if a whale were to somehow get a significant portion of the supply and attempt to force through a proposal, if they're challenged and it's elevated to Celeste, basically all of the One Hive OGs will come and like slap it down immediately, because they are the court. Okay, and we can talk more about Celeste, but Celeste is the guardian of the ecosystem itself. In case there's like human error, it gets the ultimate arbitration gets distributed into the ecosystem, and people who are the most likely to be selected and impaneled on the court are the people who hold the most honey, right?
So
just one more input is that we'll probably be looking to do airdrops to maybe like 100+ people, just to give them kind of base voting and proposal balances. Now, is that something that we would have to do manually at setup, or is this something where we would just collect the wallet addresses at another like later down the road?
So I wanna like jump in here right quick and say that Genesis Safe has an airdrop function we can use. We just need to have the addresses in a CSV file. So if we went that route, that the tool's there, right?
Cool.
Okay. So I have it set up like this. Everyone gets 1,000, and starting with 10,000 for the liquidity pool. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter so much to begin.
Bueno, can we just buy out the Rico
Well,
tokens that are in
that
the
would give
liquidity
us
pool?
that would give us a starting. I like the 10,000 number because then that means one Rico token would start off at 0.0123.
Okay, cool. And everyone gets.
I can do math. Good.
I like that.
So everyone gets, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 divided by 7 or whatever that is. So nobody dumped a token, at least not right now. So let's go on to issuance policy, initial ratio, total supply held in the common pool. Okay, is 10% a good number to start? So that means it'd be like something like 100,000. Target ratio. Okay, Ted, could you explain some of these parameters, I guess? Like, is this just a number that we're going to aim for, or does this actually have an impact on the dynamics?
Yeah, so this is like the dynamics predicated on the dynamic supply model. So yeah, if you get cursor over we can just go top to bottom, the cursor over the initial ratio. This is the function by which you have this topping up, right? For example, the seed token holds 90 tokens, the initial token ratio is 10%. And these, okay, so these are the parameters I'm saying you can change through a decision vote. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it has to do with, so I'm just curious here. I haven't looked at the default. Have you clicked restore defaults, or is that? Oh yeah, this is the default, right? Yep. Okay. I have not set up a garden myself looking at the dynamic issuance here, right? Using anything other than the one hive model. So Paul would probably be somebody to talk about specifically with regards to like, if you wanted to alter these and understand the trade-offs, I'm probably not the best person to speak to that, right?
Okay, but assuming these can all be configured in the future, maybe we stick with the defaults.
Yeah.
In the interest of time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So so if you want to, I mean, I would not hesitate. I guess I'm saying if you feel comfortable iterating on this as a small team before you build out a community, you get what I'm saying? Like this is something where you get on a call with Paul and you could change, you'd have to have, so Paul will be able to help you understand a bit on the trade-offs here. And then you could have, well, do you have somebody you could execute on like smart contract changes for gardens, or would you need some help on the tech side there?
What does that entail? Like what languages do you guys program in?
This is where I have no technical knowledge, man. I just don't. I'm on the communication side largely. So we can I can ping Paul, and I think Will will be. I'm going to be having Will on the stream next Monday. And so, what do people on this specific question here? You could meet with Paul individually or both of them together to understand what the trade-offs are here, what the dev work would be required if you wanted to iterate on it. Next Monday, like afternoon ET, I can arrange for that if you'd like to.
That sounds useful, you know, not just for
Yeah.
us, but for people looking to set up. Because let's be honest, man, like, what the heck does some of this stuff mean?
Well, and this is where, for me, so I'm going to be launching a DAO in the next 3 months, and I plan on just clicking through. Like, I some of this is worthwhile understanding the trade-offs, but it's so idiosyncratic to like the goal of specific DAOs that I am familiar with the One Hive model. I know how it works. I'm comfortable with it. And like, I like the ethos of an inflationary dynamic model personally. So I felt no need to like get into the weeds on this. Right. And, but I'm so at this point, like there are people who can talk more specifically, but I don't know if, to what extent is that worth y'all's time? It's worth meeting with Paul because he can at least point out trade-offs that might be worth considering. But yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. It's,
great. Yeah, it sounds to me like sticking with the defaults for now is probably the way to go, unless anyone opposes.
Yeah, we should do that. And honestly, like, we can always, like, you know, not that we should, but we could always, like, even change platforms, be like to the community or whatever. Or we could even open up a new one, right? Which is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, for me personally, this still feels like experimentational level.
Well, I think the point here is to learn. So I think we're doing that and not go to jail. That's learn and not go to jail. Those are our 2 goals.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine continuing with the defaults, but I'd also be interested in having the call with Paul to learn more.
Agreed. And maybe in the meantime, we can do a little bit of research on our own to try to understand some of these dynamics. But yeah, that sounds good. So let's keep moving. Right title, we have the ETH PR DAO covenant. So I'm going to link this document. Is that a good title? And I got to upload this. So
sorry, don't forget the space. PR.
Good catch. Okay, so I should download this. How are we going to do that? Make a copy, open down, download.
You can download as PDF.
PDF. Here we go. All right, so let's use this. MD and TXT.
Oh, we need to make a markdown version or a text version.
There you go. Okay, that works. Okay, let's take a look. I think it looks good.
Yes. Nice. I have no major complaints.
Cool. All right, what's this? Action deposit. Okay, this is what we were talking about, right? Collateral locked every time an action. So like a proposal, a funding, a signaling proposal. Is that a good number? 0.1 or just make it 1?
So this is actually something to consider here. What you're essentially setting is the quantity of honey that's required to sort of participate in governance. So if you are, well, it depends on what you're doing here. Is this is on the covenant? Okay, can you cursor over the Enrico? Yeah, there's going to be a portion that integrates with Celeste. It's going to be honey, but in this case, yes. So the more Rico you require, the harder it is to participate in governance. Or to challenge. So the challenge is like, this is what triggers Celeste. So in some ways you want to keep this one low, in my opinion, because that enables anybody in the community who holds even a very minimal token balance to trigger the arbitration protocol, which is good to think about. Yeah.
Okay.
Is 1 a good number?
I think 1 is a good number. Thinking about how like highly speculative the whole ecosystem is, like maybe 0.5 you know, we were talking about designating like a small reserve. So,
As an example, give F.
excuse me. Antonio?
So the can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, maybe. Okay. So GiveF did a airdrop, and I got 2,500 GiveF, but to submit a proposal, it required 5,000. So out of the gate, like I didn't even have enough to like submit a proposal. I had enough to like vote, but I didn't have enough to submit a proposal. So I guess the idea is that submitting a proposal should cost more than what it does to vote.
Okay.
That's a good point.
But are we just talking about
I mean, again, if you're concerned about preventing unwanted proposals, you raise that. I mean, so Griff put a high threshold because it's supposed to be a filter for proposal. I don't think that there's a requirement. I'd be surprised. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's a requirement to vote on proposals, but the action deposit is what's required to create a proposal in the first place. So if you become concerned about spam, this is a way to filter that out. You're deciding what the token holder, should look like that's able to create proposals. And I don't know, I particularly at the beginning, you might want to err higher. If your token is worth less than a cent, right? 1 RICO is obviously a very low threshold. So it's just something to consider based on what you think the market price would be maybe a month after launch, because assuming you'll get deeper liquidity,
Okay. My only question, just to be updated, like by vote?
It can be, but this again requires tokenomics and governance amendments. They require a different type of vote. So it's like a decision vote that also then requires some technical changes, because my understanding again is that without being able to read the code, the decisions you're making in terms of tokenomics and governance are going to be encoded in the smart contracts. So there will be technical changes that needed. So it's possible to do it. It's not easy though. So it's not non-trivial to like iterate on some of this stuff. So yeah, I think point 0.1 is the default because it requires 0.1 honey to do these things for one hive. So, but honey is also valued at $400 per honey, right? So again, if you're targeting a really low value for RICO, a trading value, then it's just something you want to consider here.
Well, we're even trying, if I'm remembering correctly, we were even trying to give some of these away, like on a consistent basis. So, that's just something to think about right now, that like some of these tokens, some people are just going to get for showing up to an event, so to speak, if I remember correctly.
Right. Okay. So I guess we'll see like the ease or the difficulty of updating some of these parameters, but how does 100, how does that sound? Everyone starts with 1,000.
I think one would suffice, honestly.
All right.
I think no one knows about this.
No, one is going to be too low, so people can just like. I think it needs to be higher than 10, but lower than 100.
50. How does that sound?
I just want to chime in with one comment here, which is, so if you're not, do you know Griff? Do any of y'all know Griff, Antonio?
I don't know him personally, but we've had. I'm a common stack trusted seed.
Sweet.
Or anyways, I've been in the group for a long time.
Cheers. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, he is someone that I think we can all learn a lot from in this stuff, and the launch of the gig economy is kind of a big deal. But they iterated on these types of parameters at length, probably longer than the team wanted to. But I'm saying it's, I'm not trying to pump the brakes here either. If you guys want to push through this and deploy, like, that's awesome. But I mean, if you have in-house technical expertise that can hook up with one of our developers and just figure out everything to do it to do the editing in yourselves, then that's one thing. If you'd have to ask OneHive developers every time you wanted to make a parameters change for a decision vote, it will happen, but it's, you know, the rate of iteration is going to be slower than you probably would like. Does that make sense? Like, and so maybe you can tell me, do you guys have someone that could hook up with Will and spend an hour getting the hang of the smart contracts and make decision vote changes on y'all's own?
I could do it if needed. I could do it.
Sweet. Okay. Well then, you know what? Scratch that. It's good to know. You guys jump out of the airplane. I encourage it.
One question: if we wanted to tear this down and build a new one, how difficult would that be?
Yeah, if you're, I don't think that difficult. I mean, it's going to be work, right? But is the question starting anew is easier than making edits to an existing garden? Yeah, I don't know how to answer that question. That's a good one. That would be something for Will.
I guess we'll have to find out as we go along.
It depends also on like the size of the group of people that are exposed to what you're doing. You know, it's like if you iterate on the garden parameters before you go to community, right, then that makes sense. But if you're trying to also do marketing and attract people to the DAO, you know, doing those things at the same time might present certain problems. That's just my feeling on it.
Yeah, for now, I think we're trying to figure out some of these tools before really trying to engage the community, at least to have a pretty solid understanding and like a solid configuration before we start adding people. So
got it.
How does that sound to people? 50 to begin with. Again, everyone starts with 1,000. So
yeah, I could see giving away 100. Like basically like the beginning airdrop, like somebody comes to a meetup or somebody's in one of the chat groups in one of the meetups, and it's kind of like, here's 100.
Okay.
I think he just cut off.
Antonio, we heard give 100. Here's 100. Giving to people.
Yes, if we start off, the airdrop for new members is 100, but we also want to have like $100 member as well as like kind of the main revenue stream.
Yeah, okay. You see people purchasing the token as the main
numbers
revenue
look good
stream.
here. If I see membership fees as from relocate / of paying memberships, and then having another side where it's what is it called, scholarships basically.
Yeah.
Antonio, to be honest, it kind of cut off a few times, so you know, if you want to write down a message, that could work too. But yeah, I mean, we're here. Let me look at the screen a moment. Yeah, we could just do 50. Like, if we can change this later, then, you know, we'll make it work. We are experimenting. It is in our papers. So.
Okay, sound good. Let's move forward. We're 50% done. So.
And the settlement period is 3 days.
3 work days, 3 Puerto Rican days.
Yeah, you have 3 days to accept the challenge, or you're probably going to lose your collateral.
Okay.
Basically, it's the way this works is if you challenge, then you get to make an offer to the person who made the proposal to like withdraw, and they can, if they choose not to respond, then after 72 hours it triggers Celeste automatically, and their collateral is sent to the other wallet.
Should we make that 5 days? Do you think having a little bit more buffer?
I think that's good. Is this going to slow down proposals though? Like, are we going to have to wait that additional time before executing?
So this is just in the event of a challenge, which has happened
Okay.
like once in one hive, right? I don't anticipate that this would be a thing. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's like, I think, yeah, you guys choose, right? This is, I don't think you'd anticipate many challenges anyways, hopefully. But in the event that it were to happen, if you want to resolve it swiftly, yeah, you could give them 1 day. I mean, I'm saying that's the devil's advocate to 5 days, is to say, well, yeah, if somebody really puts a malicious proposal up there, you don't want it hanging for like anybody.
So maybe we stick with the default. What do other people think? Good. Okay, let's
Yeah.
keep going then.
Yeah, default's fine.
Good. All right, conviction growth, number of days 2, spending limit 10%, minimum conviction. So what is conviction voting?
So from what I read, you're putting a stake every time you go vote. You put a stake, and as time progresses and people join your cause, your stake increases or your conviction increases until eventually it reaches like some type of threshold and it's then passed. But I don't think I quite caught the gist of it.
Yeah, I can actually probably help out more with this than tokenomics. We'll see. I can at least explain the virtues of conviction voting. This is actually I would say one of the differentiators of the Gardens stack. So yeah, I mean, Jose is essentially correct. It's a mechanism that makes it's a unique voting mechanism, because rather than being an up-down vote, okay, like if you're familiar with the governance process of a lot of big DAOs, they use snapshot, which is a yes/no vote. Okay, there's no no vote in a garden. There's a challenge, right? You can challenge the proposal itself, which elevates it to a whole other level of governance. But at the ground level, there's no down voting. So say you put a funding proposal on the garden, if you have yourself and other people that have you built a consensus to support this on your forum in Discord, right? When they then vote using their tokens, okay, so let's say I have 10 Rico and it's my wallet, and I go to Gardens and I say I want to use all 10 Rico to support this proposal. What happens is the amount of conviction, the longer that I commit my 10 Rico to a proposal, the more conviction that vote gains over time. And so it is designed to enable the community, again, ideally a community of smaller wallet holders, non-whales, to show their conviction in a proposal. And even if individually their token share is small, if the collective is able to show commitment over a certain duration of time, they can pass proposals.
I see.
Yeah, that's a layman's explanation. We can get people from block science, like Mark Zargham, who's basically the inventor of conviction voting. You guys could, if you could, I would Google him. I would look for stuff on YouTube, and we could probably, hopefully, get a seminar with him and some other folks for people to learn a little more about.
Sorry, what's the guy's name?
Mark Zargham. I think his Twitter handle is like, let's see.
I have him on. I'm in the Telegram chat groups. It's nice so that now we have more of an excuse to kind of reach out to some of these people who know a lot more about the. But I mean, they're deep into the theoretical, like y-axis, man. The z-axis. Zargham's definitely on the z-axis.
It's true. I feel like though it would have, like, there are more and more groups, communities, I think, in y'all's position, where if we could get a monthly call or even a bi-weekly call where it's just like a chance for people to ask questions to him, he would be able to really give you a good idea of the trade-offs in a way that mathematically I cannot But
Very cool.
these sliding scales, though, so growth, again, if you increase the number of days, so this would be if you increase the number of days, it simply means that you have to commit to a proposal longer. So that's, you can see the curve there, right? It just takes longer to reach the threshold where it would achieve like critical mass, right? And similar with other things, this can all be edited, but you see how fast it grows there. I don't think OneHive has changed it. If they have, they flattened the curve slightly in like the last 6 months, but not much. I think 2 is great to start with personally, because again, it cuts both ways. You're enabling a certain participatory dynamic, but if even for y'all, if you want to pass things quickly and get going, you don't want the conviction growth to be too long, because you're just not, the spending limit is, can you cursor over the question mark? I'm sorry. This is just, I believe this is a percentage of the total, right? So, yeah, it's a cap on the percentage of the total common pool that can be allocated like in a single funding proposal.
I think 10%, that's a pretty good number. So I guess, not being an expert in conviction governance, perhaps we stick with the defaults, unless somebody feels strongly about this. I would like to do some more research into this. Again, knowing very little about conviction voting, so I think I'll do that. But without knowing more than that, I would propose we stick with the defaults. Good, everybody?
Yes.
All right, let's keep going. We're 70% done. So decision voting, set parameters to take decisions as a community. Support 50%. So 50% of the tokens that are available, is that what it is? Not of the total supply, right?
Correct. It's this is the specific mechanism that enables you to change the smart contracts. So this is a specific, you're setting that this page sets the parameters for that specific type of vote called a decision vote.
Interesting.
And so this is what the parameters are that you're doing here, which it's different than the typical voting parameters, essentially, because it's a more significant like amendment to your system.
So why don't we do 66%? How they do in like legislatures, and we need 2/3 of. This is token holders or people from the multi-sig, seed funders. Do you have an answer for that, Ted?
It should be in the question, in the very support percentages.
I mean, I can tell you just in general, corporate governance, usually majority voting is what's best and easiest to keep things moving. A lot of times 2/3 vote, 2/3 approval can be egregious to obtain.
Particularly early on, if you guys plan to iterate. Yeah.
Okay. Then, that sounds like a good idea. Then we should just leave it at default. But if it's that important, then it might require some type of stronger threshold, later on.
Minimum approval is the percentage of the total supply required to vote yes. Okay, so the percentage of the total token supply, because right now, do we even have 10% of the token supply? Because 90% is held by the treasury.
Well, what's held by the treasury shouldn't be included in the supply.
Okay, so this is, percentage of the available. Okay, so it's 10%. 10% should be good then. What about vote duration? 5 days. Execution delay, 1 day. Delegated voting period. Quiet ending period. Non-quiet endings.
Yeah, I believe this is an attempt to avoid late swings in the vote. Not something you probably have to worry about right now. But delegated voting is something to keep in mind as well. I mean, if you grow larger, it not only in decision voting, but we'll have the ability to integrate it for like funding proposals. The idea there being that if you have members of the community that are particularly active, that other community members can like delegate their stake of tokens, so they don't have to be voting. Right? It's a form of representative, right, decision making, I guess.
Oh, okay, I see. 2 days. All right. I mean, again, I think I'm good with the defaults here. Does anybody want to speak out? Good.
Good.
All right, 80% there, guys. Let's see, review information. What is this? Type, garden type, native token. Okay, good. Profile. That looks good. It's good. I don't have images, but we can upload these right after completing this.
I think Antonio dropped it in the WhatsApp group.
All right. Could somebody?
But that's an all. I mean, ideally, one of the first proposals will be to have better, some better design.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is how early one-hivers got a lot of honey. They were just, they would do proposals and they'd get allocations of honey, and nobody was selling it. So that's another way to just get your early pool.
We have another. There's an NFT. Basically, it's us, and then there's another like artist NFT enthusiast group in Puerto Rico that's wanting to launch a DAO as well. So maybe we can do some DAO to DAO collaboration there to hire them.
Yeah, cool. Do you guys have a Discord getting set up, or what are you thinking for that side of things?
Yeah, that's exactly.
We have a Discord, but it's too Discordic. No, I mean it's just been hard. Everybody uses WhatsApp, so a lot of the chit chat goes on WhatsApp. But we do have a ETH PR Discord group, and that's linked in the covenant. But ideally, it would be something where we would like to have some type of POAP or token access to the Discord. But I think like Abuela is not going to be on Discord though.
Well, if any of y'all would like to come on, I'm sort of doing the comm side, as I said, for One Hive. That's where most of my focus is right now. And every Monday, we got about a 2-hour stream. We do it. We're going to do it in the One Hive Discord and then over Twitch. And so we do like DAO Space News, and then we have a Gardens and Agave update section, and then we have any type of guest who would like to come on. And I think if anybody from your team would like to come on, maybe any Monday, 17th or later, just let me know. We can do that. It would be like noon Eastern. We can just have you all on and we chat about what y'all are up to and get people aware of what's going down, if you'd like to, or when you think the timing's right.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, could we have information on that, on how we'd reach out to you and all that?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you put a link to I'll find the Discord, and then I'll pop in there, and I could share some info.
God, I'll tell you what, I can, our Discord, Antonio, do you have access to our Discord?
The NFT DAO one?
Not the
Or the
NFT
ETH PR
DAO one. The ETH PR one, right? But I can facilitate the NFT PR DAO, like Discord, or the NFT PR community,
Yeah, this is the wait, Jose, what are you proposing?
I mean, Ted proposed to us that if one of us would like to go speak with him and the One Hive team, right? They have an activity every Monday for a couple hours that they could, we could go be interviewed at or discuss something over there. So we're basically giving him information for him to share with us.
Yeah,
Ted, how
whoever
many?
wants to go ahead, Julia.
Oh, I was just gonna ask Ted, how many folks tune into that, and what's the audience that you guys get there?
Yeah, so we just started a couple weeks ago, and last week I think there were like 42 total people that tuned in. I think there was like, I don't know, around 10 to 15. I can get the snippet I got there at any one time, and yeah, so it's not a big group, but it's people who are interested in the garden space and know a decent amount about the DAO goings on there. So it's a relatively well-informed audience that's also got connectivity, right, with other DAOs. So we also have we had a bit where we were having like technical issues as we were getting started, so we waited to sort of send out invitations like this. But at this point, we have that stuff largely sorted. So we also have like a small post-production plan for the stream. So the video content that's hosted on Twitch, we can cut up some highlights and share them with you all for like social media sharing afterwards as well from the interview.
Okay, awesome. I think also if we could just attend the next one and check it out.
That would be great, because Real Griff's going to be there on there. So if you guys come in the audience, you can ask him all sorts of questions and we can put them on the spot together.
So how do we find the information for the next
one? So there will be announcements. If you're not in the OneHive Discord yet, definitely hop in there. This is the Twitch channel. We'll probably be doing it, like we'll be on the stage channel in the OneHive Discord, but then we stream to Twitch at this link, and it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern every Monday, and then we would do we'll probably be coming on around noon. Like a guest or somebody else join us around noon. First hour is just news with myself and another fellow from the Token Engineering Commons. His name is Eduardo, and he's actually a fellow that you guys, he might have some great ideas as well. He's a real smart dude who's been working over there at the TEC.
Thanks. Where do I find the Discord link? Or
sure, give me 1 second.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to get more connected, especially with like DEF CON being in Colombia this year, and like in the broader TEC community, the Gnosis X. I mean, there's a lot of like knowledge and expertise that I would love to like bring more into the ETH PR community, because that's been like the initial idea is there's so much happening like already in the global space. Like, how do we get like some more experiments on the ground in Puerto Rico, given the how many people are now moving to the island, as well as like how many like the interest is just blowing up. So this is like really cool that like this is happening now. So I'm really excited. I'm just, this is my speech time. So I'm just gonna say I'm really happy with how everything has worked out in the past year, and really grateful for everybody who stepped up and contributed. So thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. Oh, last thing, if you want to come to trivia in the OneHive Discord as well on Friday, come have some fun. We had to learn about projects. Have a good rest of the week, everybody. Good to meet you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Guys.
Cool.
All right, Alex, this is your time to shine.
Should I click the button?
Should you
Yeah.
click it?
Yeah.
I added the image for the header. I'm assuming we can upload like a token image garden logo
Right.
in the future, but I think everything else is good. If you guys want to
Yeah.
take another look.
I feel like now we should set up the NFT Puerto Rico DAO and then like put a proposal there, right? So that the bounty gets put out or something. This
Well,
is
it's good to have collaboration and competition to mutually feed off each other.
yeah, I mean, the more the merrier, and then we'll be able to do other cooler things. Ted had some, cool ideas about the stable coin, right? He had a nice opinion. I'm not just saying that because he agrees with me, but
Well, definitely let's tap into more of the technical knowledge that exists in Griff and I think the other guy's name was Paul. Anyways, Alex, why don't you go ahead and launch the garden?
All right, let's do it. Loading transactions. Gardens are digital economies, provide a beautiful foundation. Communities coordinate bottom-up fashion. All right. So they're gonna take
Look
my
at that
honey.
transaction fee.
I know it's like half a penny, killing me. Someone's got to do something.
Wow.
Gas fees. All right. So we are pending. All right. That's approved. Create organization. Waiting for signature. Okay. Create garden transaction 1.
What's interesting is this is kind of built off of the Aragon stack, and I remember trying to launch the Aragon DAO. Trying to launch an Aragon DAO like back in 2019 was like a couple $100.
Wow. This is incredible. This is nothing short of incredible. I want to see so basically you just have to provide liquidity with honey. That's the deal.
Well, eventually there will become a point where we will have people can stake their RICO tokens and earn liquid LP rewards. Basically, like we'll eventually get there if we ever get past the.
What is going on? I'm trying to raise the fee, the gas. It won't even let me do that. Our low, medium, highs are not available. Oh, maybe. Okay, here we go. Let's try that. No, why does it keep failing? Something's wrong because it failed. Okay. I might have to go back and start the process again because it seems like it's confused here. Create garden transaction 1. Keeps failing. It's not good.
Do you remember the all the parameters?
Yeah, and we have a recording, but
That's true.
let's try one more time, and then we should end the call.
If
Wow, why is it failing? The first transaction passed, and then the rest of them failed. Yeah, I don't know. Just good thing we're not doing this on Ethereum.
all right, so should we vote to reconvene?
Or can we ping Ted?
Maybe.
Sorry, Antonio, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's just a advertisement to hop into the One Hive Discord and figure out what went wrong.
Right, Ted left like just before this.
Well, I'm really happy Ted was there, else it would have been the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, that too.
Well, I can keep trying, but
Hey, if we can squeeze in a small discussion on tokenomics with what we know today before we retry uploading it, that could be cool too.
Well, the thing with tokenomics is it's all theory until it's out, like it's in the wild. So it's kind of like this Schrodinger's cat situation where it is and it isn't at the same time. But yeah, because I've been in these token engineering chats for like years, and it's really hard to kind of like nail down something before even people that do and launch tokens, they still don't know. But at least we're doing it in the open, and we have like feedback mechanisms to get like. I think for me the biggest issue is like we want to have proposals being submitted, and we want to have proposals being passed, and we want to have a good velocity. So if the token economics are not allowing that, then we have a problem. We need to readjust. But if we can get like a nice flow and velocity of the proposals, that's like what really is like the goal. Well, it looks like yeah, we may need to do a little bit more troubleshooting with the garden.
I'll keep you guys updated if I'm able to get this through. I'm not really sure what's happening here. I'll try some other XDAI transactions, but I mean, I'll let you know if I have success, and then we can go from there. But I'm not really sure what is the problem here.
Yeah, definitely hop in the OneHive Discord, and I wonder if it's you know, sometimes the transactions, the queue gets like messed up, or if like one transaction doesn't go through, then it creates like a cascade effect where you can't get anything else through.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. It was that one failure and everything else fails.
But you said one process successfully?
Yeah, the first one, it approved spending the honey. And then
Here, one thing I would recommend is go to your settings, because I think there's a way to like clear your clear the transaction log. So maybe settings.
I think it's under advanced, and then custom nodes. No. Yeah, I don't know if that. I guess I could reset my account. Yeah. Let's try again. Set this up. Create garden transaction 1.
Okay,
Maybe
well,
disconnect and reconnect your MetaMask.
Sorry, what?
I was just saying, try your disconnect and reconnect your MetaMask. Or if you could try, yeah, I would just suggest doing some test transactions on try another website, try another transactions.
Or maybe you have like a stuck transaction or something like that you need to cancel or something like that. Because that's happened to me on ETH. Like is it like the double nonce thing or whatever?
It could be a few different things. Actually, I don't know what is happening right here. This is very strange.
Can you go check out the transaction hash?
The transaction what?
Exactly.
The hash, the transaction.
Does XDAI have a block explorer?
They do, yeah, Block Scout.
Awaiting internal transactions.
That's why we got to run our own Gnosis node.
Yeah. I got a jet though, guys. Let me know what you learn.
Yep. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll probably go through and give it another shot. But I got this transaction through, so it seems to be an issue with the smart contract or with the gardens. But
Okay, well, thank you, Alex. Yeah,
Thanks, Julia.
Oh, boy.
Thanks, everybody.
for leading this. Thank you, Antonio, for organizing.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Everyone.
Take care, everyone.
All right, Alex, yeah, good luck.
so Antonio,
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I made a trade.
All right.
So I'll have to go through. I'll give it another shot later today.
Well,
but,
yeah, just
we have a
say,
recording.
just leave a message in the OneHive Discord group and tell them what happened, and I'm sure somebody will be able to help you out.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look.
But thank you for pulling this together. I'm happy you were able to do it because my internet was so garbage.
Sure.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get this deployed soon. But good stuff, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thanks. All right, I'm ending the call.
All right.
Hey, Antonio. Damn. Who's got the recording of this video? Him, probably.
Must be Antonio.
I'll ask
Yeah.
for it. I'll ask for it on the WhatsApp.
All right, guys. I'll catch you later then. I'll keep people in the loop.
Adios.
Take care, guys. Thanks, Alex. Again.
Thanks. See you guys.